Hello, hello. Hey, Arthur. How are you? Hey, Kev. All right. I hope you guys caught our my last my last recent live. That was so good. I hope everybody took notes. These are important conversations that need to be had, and that is exactly why I, decided to continue the show and go on IG Live so I can bring in these amazing, incredible people to talk about different things and have these conversations that we don't have all the time, right? Why do we not feel comfortable talking about our sexuality? We should feel comfortable. We should feel comfortable talking to our partners about our wants and desires, and being able to shift the energy if at the moment you're not feeling your libido's high or anything. There may be something going on. There may be some conversations to be had with your partner. You shouldn't just one and done it and let it go because things are going on. Hi, PK. So I have this amazing beauty coming on now, this amazing goddess. Diosa, if you can just send a request so I can let you in, that'll be awesome. Let me know if you know how to do it. If not, I think I can add you in. Hey, Arthur. So I think we're on a time crunch. So I'm just gonna bring Diosa on first, but then maybe after, once I click off with her, I can let you in. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can find Diosa and request her, because we have some really great conversations to have with her. Let's see, how do I do this? Okay, let's go down. I always forget how to do this. I think it's here. Questions, no. Oh, here it is. Okay, let's see. Oh, here she is. All right. All right, I'm adding Diosa now. Let's see if she pops in. I know.
Hi.
Yay! Oh my gosh. I am so happy to have you on today. And by the way, I must say, I love California. So I am going to live vicariously through you right now because I miss it so much. And I'm so sad that I haven't been able to visit because of COVID and everything going on.
Yeah,
so thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I don't normally do these, so it's always fun to get the opportunity to hop on live.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to, I wanted to bring a Latina fresh face, to my community. Yes.
See?
So I'm super duper excited. So I guess we can get started. Before we go into Q&A and all of that, I kind of wanted you to share a little bit of your background, so people can know who you are and what you do and how you got to, the place that you're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just light some sage here.
Yes.
And just so everyone knows, I have these like sage. I didn't, these aren't wild sage. This is from a friend's garden. You never really want to harvest wild white sage just because here in California, it's an endangered species. And so when you get these bundles, you actually just rip one leaf off and you burn one at a time. Because a lot of people like to burn the whole thing, and it's just out of respect for the plants, and it was never actually meant to be burned as a bundle.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, she's freezing up a little bit. Yes.
Are we good? All right.
Yes.
So I just want to start by maybe everyone taking a deep breath in and beautiful. Okay, so my story. Geez. So pretty much to cut into how I got into the healing arts and the plant work and the spirit work, it all started with a journey of self-healing. So from a little kid to teenage years and, young adult life, I went through different traumatic events, and really like the straw that broke the horse's back was I was in a relationship, and it was a very abusive, mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive relationship. And it made me really bitter, and it made me a really angry person. And I didn't like that. You know, that's not of my nature to you know, have anger and bitterness and resentment. And so I didn't like how I felt. Also at the time with that partner, I was trying to get pregnant, and it took like a year, and like we could never get pregnant. And there was like a big knowing of my womb just felt very toxic. Not in the sense of like disease, like I had any disease in my womb, but just emotional toxicity that was living in my womb and was being stored. So I took it upon myself to, you know, try to heal myself. And all I remembered was that my grandmother would work with herbs for anything related to, like, you know, woman ailments and period cramps and post-birth and pre-birth. So I was just like, I'm going to start working with herbs and hopefully this works out. And yeah, the whole journey actually brought up a lot for me. And I realized, like, holy shit, this stuff actually works. And plants are very powerful. Not only did I start to see like healing within my body, but just emotionally, like so much was coming up, and I was healing so much stuff that I wasn't even aware of anymore that I was carrying. And so that's kind of what threw me into the path of the healing arts and working with plants. So it was a journey of healing myself. And now I just like to offer what it is that I've learned to other people and other women. So
I love that. Thank you for being transparent and sharing that with us. I definitely can relate. I once was in that place where I found myself retaliating to someone who was also causing harm to me. And I felt the same exact way. I was in a place of darkness. Like, I didn't even know, I almost had an outer body experience. Like, I didn't even know who I was because of the way I was reacting. Because
right.
I'm also not a person who's angry and who's fighting back. You know, I try to be as positive as I can always. So thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Thank you for being transparent.
Yeah, it was such a big part of my journey. So I always share that, just because
Yeah.
I know when I was in that position, I would go into like women's circles, and I would hear women so like transparently share their stories. I was like, oh wow, like so many women are going through this. I'm not the only one. So that empowered me to be able to like speak my truth. And as soon as that happened, like it was just a fountain of healing.
Yes, because you released it. It
Yes,
feels so good to release. Yes,
exactly.
absolutely. All right. So I guess we can talk a little bit about, since we're already in the topic, let's talk a little bit about depression and like holistically and spiritually and maybe with herb remedies. How can we, like, what's a good recipe to that we can do to start healing depression?
Yeah. So for like, it depends, because the source of depression can be different. But I would say for like mild depressions, like, you know, a lot of heartache and any situation around love can sometimes put us in a space of depression and just melancholia. And one of the herbs that I really like to work with whenever I'm feeling really sad is flowers. I love to work with flowers. They're so gentle and they're so nourishing. And I like to go by this thing called the Doctrine of Signatures. So what that means is that the physical appearance or nature of a plant or a food speaks a lot about the medicine that it actually carries. So yellow flowers, when we think about the color yellow, we always associate it with like joy and happiness and, you know, freedom. So St. John's wort is a really great herb to work with for, you know, sadness of the heart. Calendula is like a personal favorite of mine to work with whenever I'm like sad or just in my feelings. I love to do like herbal baths with calendula or just teas with calendula.
So you said calendula, and what's the first one you said?
St. John's wort.
Can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
St. John's wort.
Okay.
Yeah. So that plant in medieval Europe, they used it a lot actually to treat like mental disorders or melancholia, because one of the chemical constituents of it, it actually retards the breakdown of serotonin and these other chemicals that are like our happy feel good hormones. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And then these are probably good plants for also to use for some of us who have been not dealing with the COVID so well, and we've kind of been overwhelmed with emotion and things like that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Also, St. John's wort and calendula together or on their own are really good antivirus, antibacterial plants. So you know, every day I kind of switch up my herbs. For the most part, calendula, St. John's wort, thyme, rosemary have been in my tea mixes to help like just boost up my immune system. And if there's any virus, you know, it really helps keep the microbiome healthy. And that's kind of one of the first places where bacteria would come in or a virus would come in and try to make a home. So you want to keep that really healthy. So that's why when I drink my tea, I'll just hold it in my mouth, swish it around to really allow the medicine to be absorbed into my mucous membranes that are in my mouth.
Awesome. So, I was doing like a little survey, and I had some of my friends send in some questions. So one of the questions they asked was how to use twigs for healing and for cleansing.
Twigs for healing. Interesting. So I've never personally done this, but if I were, I'm assuming they're talking about twigs from like a tree or a plant. The way I like to work with medicine is I get very creative and very crafty. You know, when it comes to plants, there is no like yes, of course, there's been indigenous ways to work with things and whatnot, but also it's fun to get really creative. So when I think about a tree, I think like very just like sturdy, strong, stable foundation. So how I would include twigs in magic for myself is, let's say I wanted to call in stability, like financial stability. Maybe I would get a few dollars and just kind of tie them up, use a twig and kind of use it tied up so that, you know, metaphorically and symbolically, you're calling in the medicine of the twig of the tree to kind of like bring in the force of stability and into your finances. So that's one way that I would it.
Yes, I'm gonna do that.
Or even like relationships, you know, get a photo of your man, of your girl, or whomever,
Yes.
and just like, you know, or any, and it doesn't even have to be, you know, like romantic. It could be a platonic relationship that you want to like solidify, a business partnership you want to solidify, you know, maybe get a signature that they have or a photo and tie it in twig. So that's like one way that I would work with twig medicine.
Yes, that's a great idea. So another question that came up was how to change your mindset from being trapped in the body and setting it free.
That's a really good question because I get asked that all the time. Yeah, I think that really stems from the attachment to like the 3D, the physical. There's so much that happens and is constantly happening that we can't even see or perceive with our senses. So a lot of the times when people feel trapped in their bodies, they can experience anxiety or feel really uncomfortable in their bodies or even not feeling safe in your body. So one of the things that I religiously do and I encourage and I always speak about when I'm out with people is if I'm with my family, let's say, or out in nature or just somewhere where I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful moment. This is so peaceful. I take a moment to close my eyes, take a few deep breaths, and like I really actually communicate to my nervous system and I say, remember this feeling, remember this place. You know, whatever's around me, I ask, like, please, may this energy stay with me. May I remember it and may I carry it with me in a good way. So whenever I experience those moments where I feel trapped in my body or I'm experiencing I'm unsettled, I call that in. I like, you know, I anchor and I remember and I go there. And that takes practice.
Right.
It's easier said than done. Trust me, I know that. It's not easy to retrain the mind to think outside of what we can actually feel and perceive with our senses. So it's just really like strengthening our thought patterns.
Yeah.
So, but if you do that, like I say, I do that every day when I wake up and I'm out in my yard and I can hear the birds. I say thank you, and you know I allow for it to sink in. So I just watch. I don't react, and that way I like remember that feeling. It's like deep embedded in my bones and my cells. So I carry that with me.
Right. That's a great idea because it may not be so easy, but it's also not as difficult as we think it is because we're the ones putting all of that negativity into ourselves as well. right?
Yeah.
So let's think about that. Why are we focusing so much on all of those negative thoughts instead of doing, as you're saying, taking that moment when you do have that great, amazing, happy, warm feeling and just focusing on that feeling for whatever it is, a few seconds or a minute. And then, you know, like you said, just telling yourself, all right, I want to feel this more often. Yeah, I like that. I go running and working out every morning, and that's one thing that I love is hearing the birds chirping, because I go so early that there's not that much noise outside, and I'm like, oh, this is like amazing. And I always tell my sister, like, it just fuels my day. It's really incredible. Yeah. So I like that you shared that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about herbs and how to use it medicinally, a little bit about cannabis and things like that, and about CBD and healing, the good stuff.
I'm like, oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many herbs that are available no matter where you are in the world. I guarantee you, you walk out, you will see some wild weeds sprouting through the concrete. I'm sure there's dandelion, like, so in everyone's backyard. And so one of the things I do want to say is that I feel like in this culture of wellness and the resurgence of just like eating healthy and healthier habits, a lot of people think that we have to like buy really expensive supplements or take herbs that are like, you know, from China or somewhere really exotic where it's like, oh yeah, I'm taking Heishu Wu and, you know, all this stuff. But it's actually way more potent to work with medicine that grows around you. So really learning like what plants grow in the area that I live in naturally. And that way it makes it easy for you to source. And that way you can also be in relationship with those plants if they happen to grow around where you live in. Now, if you live like in a high city area, like maybe New York, it might be a little more difficult, but it's still there. There are still a lot of wild blackberries and blueberries that grow all over New York in people's gardens and all these herbs. And like, I'm sure if you ask, people would be more than happy to share that. So it's really easy to work with plant medicine. My favorite way is to always work with like teas. I think it's just really easy, and there's something really nourishing and cleansing about working with the water element. So using water to extract the medicine from these plants. One, it's super very convenient, like everyone can do it. I think everyone knows how to make tea, and really making a practice when you're taking the like having your tea. So I always like every morning I'll make like some cacao or some type of tea, and that time when I drink my tea, I like to set an intention. Those 5-10 minutes, those are my 5-10 minutes to connect with my body, check in with how I'm feeling, connect with the plant spirit of whatever herb I'm working with, and then really calling in the medicine of water to come and just like cleanse or move energy if it needs to be moved. And it's easy. Everyone can do it. So I always recommend, and it's my favorite way, is doing teas and herbs.
Queen Kayleen said she loves tea, and she thanks you, and she'll never forget what she learned in your class.
Oh yes. Yeah, she was at the Women Weed and Wellness retreat that we did last year, which was so epic.
Oh my God, I need to go to the next one.
Yes. Whenever it happens. So.
Yes. And you know, it's so funny that you or not funny, but a coincidence that you mentioned that water extracts the nutrients from the herbs. And I'm going to show you something. Like, everything happens for a reason, I believe, in life. And I wanted to talk to you today because I want to get more connected with my spiritual side, and you know, and everything plant-based and things like that, because I have it in me and I know it, because I attract certain, and I attract certain energy sometimes. And coincidentally, last night, someone took me to this place here in the Bronx that makes herbal drinks from roots. like from direct roots. And literally this drink was so strong. And I was like, oh my God, like it was a surprise of a taste and smell.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like I literally had to pinch my nose to get used to drinking it.
Yeah.
But it was really great, and it's so great for your body. And I'm gonna go back because I want to find out what was in it. But my point is, I saved this, and I saved the seeds because I wanted to put it in water and kind of just do like my little experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was so great. So I like that you mentioned that.
Yeah, so you can use
I'm
water
definitely
to extract medicine. You can use alcohol. Like you can make a tincture. It's so easy. Everyone can probably get a hold of some rosemary. Get some rosemary dried, put it in a mason jar, like maybe like this. Fill it up to maybe a little bit more. Top it off with, you know, organic vodka, or it could be rum or any type of alcohol that you prefer. But usually I use vodka just because it doesn't have too much of a taste. Let it sit for about 6 weeks, up to 3 months if you want. You can charge it in the moon, or, you know, make medicine on a full moon, on a new moon, any special occasion. And then you strain out the herbs, and you can put it in a, like when you have a tincture, which makes it even more potent because alcohol will extract the even stronger alkaloids that are in the plants. So it'll be like more of an acute type of medicine versus like a tea where you could drink every day and it's more mild. So yeah, if you want something a little stronger, use alcohol to extract the medicine of the herb.
Now let me ask you this real quick. Does the do the herbal roots, if they're you know, what do you say, like fermented or stored away together for a long time, does it create like its natural type of alcohol?
Yes, some of them can. Some of them like will start to, like, the enzymes will start to break down, and it will start to like make its own, you know, natural alcohol. So yeah, I know my mom does,
because that's how I
apple skin. She'll like put it in water and eventually just like brews into this kind of kombucha alcohol beverage.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me, because that drink that I had, I think that's what it was. They definitely held it somewhere and aged it for a little while, because at the end of me drinking it, I definitely felt like if I had like some sort of, I don't know, like I just felt more elevated, and like if I had like some sort of alcohol or something.
Well, you know, some plants do have that effect, and like there is no alcohol or any psychoactive material in it, like, you know, cannabis or mushrooms. It really is that a lot of these plants will just shift our consciousness. They like nourish our nervous system in a way to where we like our brain waves slow down, and we start to go into more of like a dream state. So we feel relaxed, we feel good, we feel delicious. So plants like kava kava, blue vervain, skullcap, those can all like gently shift us to make us feel just more relaxed without the need of alcohol or, you know, proactive ingredient.
Yes, and that was the most amazing thing about it. And I'll say this last thing. Because my sister and I, we've been trying to wean down, you know, out of consuming too much alcohol and things like that. Not that we're alcoholics or anything. But we've been trying to, you know, wean down. And when I had this yesterday, I was like, oh my God, sister, I think I found our remedy. Like, it's going to help us.
It's also all good. You can be spiritual and drink alcohol. I'm not that whole like, oh, if you're a spiritual person in the spiritual work, you can't. Like, no, it is called the spirit for a reason. It has spirits. For me, I love mezcal. I love to connect all in the energy of agave. Whenever I'm drinking, I'm like, please be medicine to my body. Let me feel good, and like open me up to experience everything that's good.
Yes.
Exactly. Again, infusing everything with intention makes a world of a difference. You could eat a burger, and if you infuse it with good intention, you connect with the spirit of the animal, you know, the cow, the sacred cow, and how gentle it is, and to honor it, it can become a very sacred thing. So
that is amazing. Oh my God, my friend Damaris said, Sue, you are the ultimate medicine woman. You connect all of us to each other. Oh my God. You and Damaris definitely have to meet, because she is our Puerto Rican island kitchen food goddess. Definitely. But I'm trying Damaris, and this is why I have Mars here today with us because I just knew she would be so amazing. So thank you for sharing all of this great stuff. So let's talk a little bit about cannabis and the positives of it and how we should be consuming it if we are.
Yeah.
And CBD oils and things like that.
I consume cannabis every day, you know, constantly throughout the day. And sometimes I'll sit and I'll be like, I just check in with myself. Like, what is my reason to smoke? And recently, one of my dear friends, he was like, hey, Mars, you want to have a prayer with me? And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'm over here thinking we're going to like actually pray. And he, you know, lights up a joint and hands it to me. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful to call this a prayer. And he was like, yes, anytime I smoke, I call it a prayer. That way, you know, I'm setting that intention. And as I'm smoking, I'm infusing in the smoke, you know, whatever I'm praying for, family, the world, the plant life, animal life. So it can be a really beautiful way to commune with this plant spirit. Now, what I've come to know about cannabis is she has 3 sides of her. So there's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. So the maiden aspect of cannabis, I feel, is like, you know, when we smoke her and we just feel extra flirty, you know, we have all this energy, we want to dance, we want to move, we're creative. So that can be that aspect of her. Also, it can also show up as like a child. Sometimes cannabis can give you like a run for your money and put you in a loop with your thoughts. So you have to be like, you know, when you're watching a child, you can't let the child take control of you. You have to set boundaries and like, so that's why when I smoke, I'm always like, cannabis, you know, I call you in, I'm going to go on this long drive, like be with me on this drive and, you know, be with me in a safe way. Or if I'm painting, you know, help me be more creative. If maybe I'm feeling really sad or sick, like cannabis, please come and hold me because I'm feeling very vulnerable right now. So that also is the other aspect of her, the mother. I feel like she can be so nourishing to the body and so healing. Like this plant is such a versatile plant. You know, now they're extracting the CBD component of her and using just CBD as the medicine. There's all these other cannabinoids that are also medicine when it's extracted by themselves. You can use the hemp fibers to make clothes, to make utensils, to build homes. Like she's so giving, and that is the mother aspect of her. And then there's the crone, which is like the wise, you know, grandmother spirit. So sometimes when we smoke cannabis, we can like have these really profound epiphanies and like, or realizations, or just like go beyond and go out there and just like channel information from the divine. And so that's how I always like to see her. There's 3 aspects of her. Sometimes I'll specifically call in which energy I want to work with, or sometimes I leave it up to her and in her hands.
Yes.
So
that's
like I like to work.
For me, I like to be in a safe space. Yes. So I like to be mostly like, you know, either indoors or in a backyard or somewhere where I'm not moving too much. Like I don't like it if I'm driving or if I'm out moving around. Like I like it in a safe space. Yeah, definitely. So
what me and her, we're best friends. So I'm driving, I'm doing all the things, and I'm like,
right.
Don't tell the cops.
Exactly.
no snitching.
Exactly. Hi, Debbie. Really quick. Can you check to see your connection? Because it's a little fuzzy. I don't want to lose you. And I don't want you to get off the live though. Just check it and see if it's good to go.
It looks good here on my end.
Okay. So all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Hear me, see me.
Yeah, we see
you. Hey everyone. I'm looking at all the comments.
Yeah.
Does it depend on your mental state? I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay, so let's see where we can go now. Let's talk a little bit about CMOS. What are your thoughts on CMOS? What is it good for? It's like the wave here. Like a lot of people have been talking about it here in New York, and they've been consuming it.
Yeah. So personally, I have taken CMOS in the past. It's not really an herb I work with a lot, not because I don't think it's good. I think it's phenomenal. I know it has like jam-packed with minerals and antioxidants and vitamins. And I believe it's high in like iodine, which is a mineral that like we can't really find in like most salts or a lot of our foods. So it does have a lot of nutrients. The only thing I would say is you really want to make sure where it's being sourced from and how it's being sourced. Again, I go back to if it's something that doesn't grow around me or I can't go and harvest myself, I like to do more research. And if I'm going to purchase it, you know, how are these people sourcing it? Are they respecting the environment and the lives of all the plants or the animals that live in that area? And is it being harvested in an ethical way? So that would really be my only thing. But I think sea moss is great. I know that people use it, like make a gel out of it and put it on their face and use it for like as a hair product. So I think it's such a versatile plant. And also it connects us to the water element, the ocean, to our mother Yamaya. You know, if you are familiar with the Orishas, then so I think it can be a really healing herb to work with in that way as well, to just like connect to the elements of the ocean, which is like where all life started and originated.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna try it. I haven't tried it yet. I can't wait to try it.
yeah, I know it has a very distinct taste. That's the only thing. Anytime I had it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't continue to use it, because there's a taste thing for me. There's like certain tastes where I'm like, yeah.
It was, I did taste it from someone else and it was very different. Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to this question that Damaris asked Iden Life Kitchen real quick. How do you stop the racing thoughts when you're smoking cannabis?
Okay. So when that starts to happen, I always like to tune into like, what are those thoughts? And a lot of times for me personally, cannabis has a way of always like bringing up things that I'm like trying to hide, that I don't want to talk about, that I don't want to deal with. She completely brings them up. So I tune in and I'm like, okay, is this something that is that's mine? That's my stuff that I need to deal with and sort out with. And if so, then let's talk about it. I have a conversation and dialogue with myself on how I can move past it. And sometimes if it's just like, I know I've never really experienced it, but I know a lot of friends that get anxiety when they smoke, and they just like don't feel safe or feel really uncomfortable. And I think that can be, you know, cannabis really opens us up and opens up our senses. So it makes us really sensitive to just be able to feel energy that's probably not ours.
Right.
And so if it's not yours, then this is where good grounding techniques come in handy. So for me, I always like to like firmly press on my body, firmly press on my legs. That way I remind myself that I'm in my body. My body is a safe place. I talk to myself, I communicate with myself. I know a lot of people experience like a racing heart sometimes as well when they smoke. And I just communicate with my heart and I say, you know, thank you, heart, for working so hard. I know you're experiencing and you're like filtering so much information, and thank you for that. And like, I'm here. So just being really gentle and having like gentle conversation with yourself and gentle affirmations, I feel can really help to like ease the mind and just start to slow down the thoughts and come back to the present moment. It's really that. It's just like, how can we continuously bring ourselves back into the present moment? Which is difficult in a world where we're constantly doing. You know, we're no longer human beings, we're human doings. And so, again, it's just learning to just be, to just sit, just watch.
Exactly. Also, it's like you just mentioned, it probably depends on the energy that you have right when you start smoking. So it's like you said, like you kind of control it from the beginning. You say to yourself, oh, if I'm gonna paint something, help me get creative, and you say that before you even start smoking. So maybe that'll help, Damaris, if you put the intention out there before you start smoking. Maybe you won't feel that much anxiety. I know for me also, something that happens, I do feel a little anxiety like Damaris, unless I'm in a safe space.
Yeah.
But also something else that happens to me is I feel so much of my joints and muscles. And I want to ask you real quick about that. So like, let's say if you're feeling something like in your, I don't know, like for females, let's say like your uterus or something feels uncomfortable. Do you think that's a sign that there's something wrong there? Or do you think maybe you're just feeling like the stress levels that are all there?
I wouldn't say necessarily it's always that something's wrong, but if something is like you're feeling, you know, a sensation that's very prominent, then definitely tune in to like what's going on there. Has this been happening for a while? Is this just right now? And if so, like I said, cannabis really opens us up and opens up our senses and makes us really sensitive. So it could be something that's constantly going on, but now that we're under the influence of cannabis and her presence is with us, she's making us aware. That's the medicine of cannabis, is she makes us hyper aware sometimes. So that's where the anxiety can come in. You know, you can be like, oh my God, all of a sudden I'm breathing, my breathing pattern is different. Like, why is that? And it's like, maybe you breathe like that all the time. You're just extra aware because cannabis kind of forces you to be present.
Yeah.
And so it's a really delicate plant spirit. I know it's not for everyone, but you can definitely learn to work with her. And again, it's all about how you communicate with these plants. Every time before I smoke, every time if I'm by myself with a group of people, I don't care if I'm going to sound crazy, I always drop in and I say a prayer. Thank you, Santa Maria, for being with me, for your medicine. You know, please help me feel good, help me, you know, make others feel good, and just call in whatever I want to call in and infuse in the moment. That way, like you said, I'm taking control of the next hour that I'm going to be under the influence of this plant. And it really helps. It really, really does make a difference. I've noticed it. The times that I don't do that, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of like just sitting here vegging out instead of being productive or like doing something. Or so that's why I always like to tune in and set that intention beforehand.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that. I hope that helps, Damaris. I wanted to say hello to my bestie Angel. She's on. I'm so glad you're on. This is a great conversation, right up your alley. I definitely would love for you guys to connect too at some point when I drag her to California with me. It's so funny. Like I talked about energy. I went on her family Zoom the other day, and like literally this never happens. Like a moth flew into my apartment, and I was like, oh my God, like that's so connected for some reason, because she loves to not kill like insects and stuff.
Let me see if I can show you. 1 second. So I have these potos plants, I think is what they're called. They look like this. They usually are like hanging and they have like these vines. So these are really good. They like indirect sunlight. I don't know the name of these plants, otherwise I would tell you. But yeah, I would always just go to your nursery and like ask, what's a good indoor plant? But I know definitely these potos plants are my favorite. Like I have them hanging all over my house just because they don't require that much care. They, you know, just give them water every 3 days, put them in indirect sunlight and talk to them. And they So definitely indoor plants can help you connect to nature. And also just like, I also like to rocks or branches. Like I have this driftwood that I got here when I went to the beach one time. And that was just like a really sweet way to remember these like epic memories. Go to the ocean. And, you know, that way I'm like bringing in the energy of like these places outside into my home and infusing it. And I always ask before I take something, like, hey, can I have you? Do you want to come with me? And I kind of like have, it sounds silly, but I have a conversation. I'm like, hey, I want you in my home just because, you know, you're going to make me feel good. And, you know, like it'll be great. And you build a bond in a relationship when you do things like that. People forget.
I love that.
The thing with society today is that we see ourselves as separate from nature. We think that the human race is separate, and that how we live and the choices that we make and the way that we speak and walk has no influence or very little influence on the world around us. And vice versa, the way that plants and animals, you know, interact with the world and the land around them doesn't affect us, and it does. And so the moment that we break out of that thinking of like we're separate, that's when we truly become one. That's when we truly experience the universal love.
I agree.
So
yes, I agree. That was beautiful right there. We can definitely leave it with that. You shared so much great information with us today. I'm definitely going to go back to this video and I'm going to write down all the names of the herbs and the plants and the roots that you mentioned. And I'm definitely going to save this on my YouTube and my website so you guys can all go back to it. Please follow Mars at Dos of Diosa. She is amazing. I know you don't do these much, but thank you so much for doing them. As you can see, I have my little community of healers and, you know, women who are into connecting with nature and themselves. So I'm super excited that I was able to bring you to them today. Thank you so much.
It was so fun, and you've inspired me to just like do more of this. Because sometimes, you know, I'm such a like in real life person. Like I love to hold gatherings and things like that. But now with like the pandemic, you know, I haven't been able to do that. And so I'm just like so hesitant sometimes to like go online and share information that way. But it's definitely a tool. So thank you for being such like an inspiration and being fearless and just like speaking your truth and inviting other women to speak their truth. Like, it's so beautiful, and so this is such a gift. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And I hope that you do start sharing more because we need to hear this and we need to feel this beautiful energy. And I wanted you to share actually before we close out what makes you fearless.
What makes me fearless? Love. Love makes me fearless. Love. Holy shit, love is so complex and so requires. Did I go out? I think I went out a bit.
Yes, I was like, no.
But yeah, love, being able to have like radical and truthful love is what makes me fearless. That's literally what I use as my benchmark in like anything that I do, any decision that I make. You know, I lean into just like following my heart and following like what makes my heart sing and what makes me just want to like share love. And sometimes that can be so scary, those places. And so continuously tapping into that fountain of love is what makes me fearless.
Yes. Oh my God. I love you. I love you.
Oh,
yes. Like I didn't want to wear a dark color today, but I wore this because it said love on it.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. Thank you again so much. I am going to be, my sister and I, we will be in California in September, beginning of September. I would love to connect with you and continue the conversations. Yes.
Please, let's do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy I was given the opportunity to share. So fun.
Bye. Have a good night. Right. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.